Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdullah from Islamic State University of Raden Fatah, Palembang. And in this video, I'm going to explain about uh, analysis of learning text. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first is about the primary step in performing of learning text analysis are followed. So the first is write learning goals and then determine the types of learning of the goal and conduction and information processing analysis of that goal. And the next is conduct a prerequisites analysis and determine the type of learning of the prerequisite. And then the last is write learning objective for learning goal and each the prerequisite. Okay, next slide. Okay, writing learning goals. Okay, after conducting a needs assessment, the designer has a list of learning goals such as a learner need to be able to read the fifth grade level, or learners need to be able to repair broken PCR. Okay, next slide. Okay, determining types of learning, and then after you have written determining a learning goals or a course, unit or lesson, it is valuable to identify the type of learning outcome the goal represent. And the second one is identifying the type of learning helps the designer to determine how to analyze the learning goals into components part. And next, okay, judgeness types of learning outcomes. Okay, in declarative knowledge is sometimes described as knowing that something in the case it's also comparable to Bloom's level of recall and understanding. Like the example of verbal information objective include the following: write the name of at least 3 types of synthetic fabric and recite the multiplication table for number 7, and then must follow in converting a basic file into a TOS 3.3 text file. Okay, next slide. Okay, and cognitive strategies. Students use cognitive strategies to manage their own learning, and cognitive strategies support learning in other domains, and they are particularly evident when students are completing problem-solving tasks. And then how about the attitude? And like cognitive strategies, attitude influence learning across content and domain. The first is psychomotor skill, like coordinate muscular movements. There are typified by smoothness and precise timing are called psychomotor skill. And the second is learning enterprises, like in an effort to develop a type of learning which reflected capabilities that combine types of learning into more general expertise. Okay, next slide. And then conducting an information, and then whether you are designing a course, unit or lesson, once you have identified learning goal and determines what type of learning outcome it is. Okay, and then you will find an analysis of the goal useful tool in determining the needed content of that instruction. Okay, next. Okay, concept learning. Basically, applying a concept involves determining whether a particular instance is an example of that concept, and this involves comparing the characteristic of the instance with the defining attributes of the concept. Okay, next, how about principle? Okay, applying a principle involves doing the following. First is determine which concept or variable are involved, and determine the principle that relates those concept or principle, and then recall the principle and determine which concept or variable has varied and the direction, and then determine which concept, and then determine the magnitude, and the last one is confirm that the values is reasonable. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.